What's going on, Trojan family? What up, and welcome to the USC LAFB show. I'm your host, Ryan Dyer, checking in before the weekend. Maybe checking in again very soon because it seems like this USC recruiting train is not slowing down anytime soon. Rumors, reports, whatever you want to call them, seemingly a new commit may be coming. So I'll just be teasing that, and I'll probably have to jump back on here when it does come. But want to jump on here now because more updates to give. Like I said, my goal is to hopefully start doing this almost every day. Obviously, I write USC as well on LAFBnetwork.com, so you can find all our writing stuff. We got USC articles every single day over there. Would love the support from all of you, as you always show over there as well. But would love to get video platform up there as well. Quick update just for USC LAFB. Our good friend Tim Prangley, many of you probably know him, is bringing his call-in show to LAFB. Super psyched, super pumped, more USC content, different variation besides just my ugly mug. So it'll probably be either Wednesday nights or Thursday nights, potentially starting as early as next week. And it's basically going to be Tim with kind of a rotation of myself, Madman, and Coach. Sometimes maybe all of us will be on there, all four. Sometimes it'll be me and Tim, sometimes Madman and Tim, sometimes Coach and Tim. And obviously taking calls, be a live show. We want to do a lot more live content. We'll bring back our, Victory Sunday show during the season. But if we can do a weekly, all year round live show, and then, anything more we can do, would love to do. I love doing lives. Lives are so much fun to do. For me and Jamal and Coach, not saying Tim's not busy too, but it's just with where the age of our kids, it's a lot more challenging to do lives in the evening, which is obviously when we need to do them. Well, when you guys are not working. But since I do this as a job, like during the day is very easy, but it doesn't make any sense to do a live at 3 p.m., which is where I'm recording right now. So anyway, you don't need to hear all that, but doing more live content, and it's because you guys are supporting us, and it just means the world. So we'll bring more of that to you. So pumped. Tim's going to be joining us with Madman and Coach and, all of us, the USC LAFB family, and thrilled about it. So just more great content coming your way. But all of that can be found at the USC LAFB YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button. Always found on LAFBnetwork.com. And we'll still do audio platform for anyone that wants to listen, just audio. We'll put it all under the Salute to Troy banner on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. So we're easy to find. So this show, as always, brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. I say it every week. I'll say it again. Best money lines, best spreads. They got draft props on there right now. If you want to see where, place a wager on, first overall pick, maybe where the Trojans go when you look at Woody Marks or Jalen Smith or any of those. All that can be found at betonline.ag. Tell them the LAFB network sent you. All right, a couple quick little updates. And I think this is important. This is why I want to talk. It doesn't seem that important, but I think it is. 2 commitments. One that just happened this week in Easton Tafa, and one a few weeks ago in Samote Katanga, edge player from SoCal. Both of them have seemingly shut their recruiting down. Now, you hope, obviously, when someone commits to your school, they're committed, right? But we know, not just with USC, just in the world of college football, decommitments happen all the time. Flip season happens all the time. And USC flipped one, right? Jonas Williams, quarterback, was committed to Oregon, flipped now to USC. We know how last year went with a lot of decommitments and flips. And I've talked extensively why I think it's different this year, and I don't need to go down that road, but I just think it's truly going to be different. Like, will they lose 1 or 2 in this class? Maybe. I don't feel like they will right now with this momentum, but, it wouldn't shock me if it happens in July, or it's a long way to go. I do think it's very different, though. But both these two, Tafa and Katanga, seemingly shut down their commitments. Tafa, in an interview with our friend Ryan Young of Rivals, said he's not taking any more visits. He had 2 officials scheduled, one with Washington and one with Utah, both in June, with USC right in the middle of those 2. Said he's not taking any more visits. And Katanga I believe he told our friend Steve Schrader at On3, but it was with On3, that he doesn't plan on doing any more visits. He's locked in. So things can change. I know, these are young kids. You can get swayed, and I'm not saying they're for sure absolutely not going to not take any more visits, but based on those conversations, they're shutting recruitment down. They're locked in with SC. And I think that's really important because recruiting can still happen. Coaches are still going to call. They're still going to try to flip. Doesn't mean all of a sudden because a kid says that, the coach is like, all right, it's over. We're out. They're still going to call and flip. But where a flip can truly happen, in my opinion, is on these visits. Because you're in person. You're at the facility. You see the program with your own eyes. You see the coaching staff. You see the field where you're going to play, the locker room, all of the city that you're in. If it's Eugene, Oregon, if it's Athens, Georgia, wherever it may be, you see what the city has to offer. And I think that's why USC has done so great with these visits. And every visit we hear about, even when recruiting was kind of up and down, it was like, man, these visits were great. These kids were hyped coming out of these visits because of what you can show, what you have to offer. But then they go on other visits and they're like, okay, but if they're not going on visits, it's much harder to sway. To put in a context, and I'm not saying this to try to bag on the kid. I honestly, I think he's a great kid. I hope he's a great career at Colorado. But Julian Lewis, well documented his kind of recruiting saga with SC. Committed for a long time and decommitting Trojans even before decommitting and kind of changed their path and decided to go on Houston Longstreet. I think it worked out best for both parties. Julian Lewis took 70 visits. 70 visits per on 3, per their logging. And this is dating back to, I think, maybe even before he was a freshman. I don't know, 2021. 70 visits. He took 21 visits. Now, and 70, that includes 8 to USC. But he took 21 other visits, so not including USC, after committing. So after being committed to USC, took 21 visits. Obviously, you're going to be swayed. Or obviously, you're not fully committed. And I'm not saying that to put bad on him. I'm just using that as an example of like why I think it's important when a kid says, I'm not taking any more visits. Then they're truly locked in. Like I've said a lot, and I don't want to get down this road too much. Being recruited, and I never was, obviously, but being recruited is like a special thing. Like these kids should enjoy it. You should enjoy the recruitment process. You only get recruited once. Transfer portal now, that's a little different because you kind of go through recruiting again if you hit the portal. But you only get recruited out of high school once. So you should enjoy it. Live it up. See all that there is to offer at their schools. Take these visits. But to me, once you commit, that should be you're locked in. Like barring something happen where the school does something or you've just fallen out of favor or whatever. Like I'm not saying that you have to stay committed, but to me, like once you commit, I don't see why a lot of these kids still continue taking. And there's kids in USC's class that are going to do it. So I'm not trying to sound big bad. That's just my view. Like I compare it to like if you're dating, right? If you want to date, enjoy dating. If there's no prior commitments, enjoy it. But once you lock in on someone and say, hey, I'm not dating anyone else, you're not married, right? Things can change. You can break up. That's life. You're not a bad person if that happens. But if you tell someone you're not dating anyone else, you shouldn't be dating anyone else. So once you commit to me, that's like you're saying, like, I'm not dating anymore. Like, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, we're partners, whatever you want to call it. But to commit and then take other visits, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of an odd thing to me. Just don't commit then. Like, you can say, like, yeah, that's my top school. You guys are my top guys, but I just want to still see what else is out there. When I'm ready to commit, then we're locked in. So I say all that because Tafa Katanga committed and now seem fully locked in, which is awesome. That's what you want. They're in. And I think this class, that's what I think this class is so different is all 14 of these commits seem like that. And maybe some of them haven't publicly said they're not taking visits anymore, but seemingly all of them seem locked in and fired up to be part of this 2026 class, to be fired up to be a Trojan. So I think that's big news when you have two top 4-star blue chippers shutting it down. They're Trojans, shutting it down. So I think that's good news. It might seem like a nothing burger, but I think it's a big deal, bigger deal than maybe some think. And yeah, so I think that's great. So that was the one piece. Another piece, and this is one that could be, when I teased earlier, this could be a commitment coming. We don't know. I don't know for sure. But defensive lineman out of Louisiana, Dylan Berryman, 4-star kid. He picked up, I think Rivals calls him a future cast. Every thing says him differently. Like On3's Crystal Ball, then you have predictions. I think Rivals is like a future cast. But Sam Spiegelman, one of their insiders, put in a future cast for Dylan Berryman to commit to USC. It seems like USC is starting to build a nice little pipeline with Louisiana. And I'm not saying they're pulling 5 kids per class, but you think of Coach Henney from Louisiana, went to Edna Carr in high school. So his ties with Louisiana are great. Jakeem Stewart transferred to Edna Carr, where Coach Henney played, commits to USC. He's got a lot of ties with Louisiana. So Henney and Stewart are kind of like both hitting the boot hard. Building a pipeline, building relationships. And Stewart's been very vocal. I love it. This is another thing that's just exciting to see with these kids, right? He's been vocal, like this is gonna be legendary, what we're building here. Like, just wait. More are coming. Like he's posting about more coming. Guys, wait till my guys announce. And seemingly those guys being from the boot, from Louisiana. Dylan Berryman might be one of those guys after getting this future cast. Now, he has, as of now, according to Rivals, his top 3 teams are Texas, Texas A&M, and USC. He currently has 4 official visits scheduled with Ole Miss in May, Houston, June 6th, Texas, June 13th, and finishes it up with USC, June 20th. Did a few unofficial visits with the Trojans last season in October, November. So obviously built a little bit of relationship there with Coach Henney. I could be mistaken, but one of those visits he may have been with Jakeem Stewart at USC. I know certainly Jakeem Stewart had a late visit, and Berryman may have been with him on that. So obviously you build a relationship there. 2 kids from Louisiana visiting SC. So I think there's something there. So, but there seems to definitely be a little pipeline building, which is great. And so Stewart actually tweeted out this just on 2 days ago, on Wednesday. He said, "I bet no one is laughing anymore. Just wait until all the dogs from down south I have coming start announcing commitments. I'm inevitable." The Thanos quote. So I mean, he's out there working as a enrolled player. You love to see it. But for Berryman, for those who don't know, 6'2", 305, so a true D tackle. Very athletic. He's a 21st ranked defensive lineman in the country per On3 industry rankings. 2 spots behind Braden Jones, who was already committed to USC out of the state of Illinois. So would be a great addition to this class to be able to add him as well. So we'll see if a commitment comes, but anytime you get one of those predictions, crystal balls, whatever you want to call them, certainly encouraging. Definitely some breadcrumbs left by Jakeem Stewart, what he's helping do, and then obviously Coach Henney. We know the recruiting prowess, but we know the connection he has with the great state of Louisiana. So would be a great another addition on the defensive line as this class. I mean, it's a ways to go, man, but this class is definitely building something special. And I've said it a lot. I'm sure maybe people are getting sick at it, but I mean, this has the opportunity to be a legendary 2026 class. Can they hang on? Can they keep the momentum? I think they can. GM Chad Bowden. For those that watched my last episode, I apologize. I believe I was saying Chad Savage a few times. So many names. I was trying not to confuse Josh Henson and Zach Hansen, and I ended up confusing Chad Savage and Chad Bowden. I was referring to Chad Bowden last episode, the GM. But he was just on, I think it's called the Victory Podcast, like USC's promoted podcast with Keely Air. And it's like a nice 45-minute conversation. I recommend you guys check it out if you haven't already. just an awesome dude. He's super real, which I think is refreshing. Crazy smart, crazy knowledgeable, crazy passionate. But he is what ties this all in into why I and many others know that this is different. This momentum is real. This fire is not just smoke, it's fire. And why this class can absolutely be different and sustainable down the stretch, because you have all this thing tying in together. NIL is better. The GM and the front office staff is existent. It just wasn't existent before. The coaching staff is elite. Lincoln Riley back to doing what Lincoln Riley does best. Coaching X's and O's, recruiting, building relationships. It's all humming now in the right direction. And so now it's just to keep that train moving. And Chad Bowden said on that podcast, more are coming. He was talking about momentum, and he even just said more are coming. So whether that's just confidence or saying like, yeah, guys have committed to us, we just haven't announced it yet, whatever you want to take that as. But I think we all know, based on what we've seen, the tangible evidence, that more are certainly coming. And that's going to be in the light of California kids, but also some national kids. Especially once you get all these official visits coming up. And these unofficial. Kids were on campus again this past week for unofficial visits. So, special time to be a USC Trojan fan. Let's see if they can hang on and keep it going. It's fun seeing the other fan bases start to, I don't want to say like complain. I got no issue with the other fan. I love it. That's what makes sports great. You can, go back and forth, have some fun. But there's definitely been a ramp up of like trying to dig at USC, knowing like, ooh, this is like, okay, this is for real now. This isn't the same USC that was, 18 months ago. 18 months ago, Oregon fans, as was their right, probably had no fear of USC's recruiting. USC is always going to get some kids, some blue chip kids, no matter what. But Oregon 18 months ago was probably like, yeah, cool, you can get a couple, but we're not worried about it. They're worried now. Because it's real. Anyone can see that it's real. Fans or non-fans. People around the country. Look at all of the analysts around the country. I haven't heard Feinbaum in a while. Maybe I just silenced him out. But all the analysts are, there's not this like, what's going on at USC? Like, what's wrong? Like, why can't they get this right? Like, it's USC. Everyone's like, whoa, what's going on at USC? Like, this is the USC we know. The recruiting, the passion, the belief. It's all there. So, keep it, I keep saying short and sweet. This is what it is now, right? It's just 20 minutes for now. So thank you all, as always, for hanging out. Please drop comments below. If I messed any names up again, I apologize. Chad Bowden. So Chad Savage is great. Tight end coach, recruiting, got his first recruit. I think he was heavily involved in the Trent Mosley recruit. So Chad Savage is great as well. I was just referring to Chad Bowden. But if I messed anything up, comment below. If there's anything you want me to talk about, comment below. But yeah, we'll just keep giving these recruiting updates or any updates on this team. Spring ball just around the corner. We had USC just had their pro day. It's funny. It rains here like, a handful of days a year. And I think it's rained every USC pro day the last 3 years. Every single one. So just ironic that it happens to fall in that. They need to do it in January or something. But yeah, let me know. Excited to keep this thing rolling. Excited where USC is. Excited to just add more content. So appreciate all of you. Wouldn't be possible. Wouldn't be worth it without all of you. So thank you. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Again, I'll jump back on here tomorrow, or if any commitments are officially announced. Going to try to keep doing this, almost daily if we can build that up. So, but yeah, let me know any thoughts you have, any comments, any questions. I'm going to try to do better about answering everything in the comments. So I know in the past, maybe we didn't respond as much as I would have liked. So hopefully I can be better at that. So if you have a true question, drop it in there. And like I said, we got lives coming. Then we can really interact, engage, call-ins. So while USC, the momentum's going, USC LAFB, the momentum is real and rising too. Let's keep this thing rolling. And as always, fight on.